Welcome to the DIY Honda Garage channel. The Diagnostic Trouble Code, DTC P0463, refers to a problem related to the fuel level sensor, also known as the fuel gauge sending unit, within the Honda Pilot models from 2016 to 2022. This error code specifically indicates a high voltage condition in its circuit, which suggests that the system is failing to provide accurate readings regarding the fuel level in the tank. The fuel level sensor itself plays a critical role in determining how much fuel is available and is typically located within the fuel tank. It sends this information to the gauge control module, which interprets the data and displays it to the vehicle's dashboard gauge. If this sensor becomes faulty, it can lead to incorrect fuel readings, resulting in a confusing driving experience where the driver may not know when to refuel. Thus, understanding this error code is essential for maintaining the vehicle's operability and ensuring that the fuel system functions correctly. The error associated with DTC P0463 indicates that the fuel level sensor is experiencing a circuit high voltage condition. The fuel level sensor is responsible for measuring the amount of fuel in the tank and reporting this information accurately to the gauge control module. This module then relays the fuel level information to the dashboard gauge so that the driver can see how much fuel is left in the tank. When the circuit encounters high voltage, it may malfunction, leading to inaccurate fuel level readings. This sensor is typically located inside the fuel tank, where it monitors the fuel's surface level and sends the information via a dedicated circuit to the control module. In summary, the DTC is a warning that must be addressed to ensure the fuel system remains operational. There are several possible causes for the occurrence of DTC P0463. Firstly, a faulty fuel level sensor may be the primary suspect, as internal failures can lead to incorrect readings and high voltage signals. Secondly, wiring issues between the fuel level sensor and the gauge control module could also trigger this error code. Damaged, worn, or exposed wiring can contribute to electrical shorts or open circuits, causing malfunctions. Additionally, faults in the gauge control module itself could alter the signal received from the fuel level sensor, leading to high voltage reporting. Each of these potential causes requires careful inspection during the troubleshooting process to ensure thorough diagnostics and successful repairs. When DTC P0463 is present, it can manifest through various symptoms that affect the vehicle's operation. One of the most noticeable symptoms is inaccurate fuel gauge readings, which can lead drivers to believe there is more or less fuel than what actually exists in the tank. This could result in running the vehicle out of fuel unexpectedly. Additionally, warning lights on the dashboard may illuminate, signaling a need for service. Drivers might also experience engine performance issues that intermittently arise from a malfunctioning fuel system, such as stalling or rough idling. Recognizing these symptoms is crucial for addressing the underlying issues promptly and effectively. The first troubleshooting step involves problem verification, which begins with turning the vehicle to the on mode without starting the engine. This allows the vehicle's electronic systems to power up, so the Honda Diagnostic System, HDS, can communicate with the vehicle controls. Next, clear the DTC using the HDS, which resets any stored fault codes. Following this, it is essential to wait for 5 seconds before checking for any confirmed or pending DTCs again with the HDS. If DTC P0463 is indicated once more, it confirms that there is an active fault requiring further investigation. However, if no DTCs are present, it may indicate an intermittent failure, prompting you to check for loose connections or faulty terminals within the gauge control module and fuel tank unit. The second step in troubleshooting DTC P0463 focuses on checking the fuel line for any open circuit conditions. Begin by turning the vehicle to the off-lock mode to ensure safety during the inspection. It is important to remove the gauge control module to gain access to the necessary connectors. Disconnect the fuel tank unit's 4P connector and the 32P connector from the gauge control module. Using a jumper wire, connect terminal A from the fuel tank unit's 4P connector to a body ground as a testing point. With this setup, check for continuity between test points. The gauge control module's 32P connector number 22 and a body ground. Continuity indicates that the circuit is intact. However, if continuity is absent, an open circuit exists in the fuel wire between the gauge control module and the fuel tank unit, necessitating a repair. In the third troubleshooting step, the focus shifts to the fuel plus line. Begin by removing the jumper wire used in the previous step to reset your testing conditions. Next, in preparation for testing, connect a jumper wire from terminal A of the fuel tank unit's 4P connector to a body ground. This step allows you to evaluate the integrity of the fuel plus circuit. After setting up the jumper, check for continuity between the test points. The gauge control module's 32P connector number 21 and a body ground. If continuity exists, the circuit is functioning correctly. Conversely, if no continuity is found, it indicates an open in the fuel plus wire that must be addressed to restore proper electrical connections between the gauge control module and the fuel tank unit. The final troubleshooting step involves directly checking the fuel gauge sending unit. Begin this process by removing the jumper wire that was installed in the previous steps to return the system to its normal state. Use appropriate testing equipment to assess the functionality of the fuel gauge sending unit itself. This component is crucial, as it needs to provide accurate readings to the gauge control module. If testing reveals that the fuel gauge sending unit is functioning properly, the next step is to replace the gauge control module instead. However, if the fuel gauge sending unit is found to be faulty, it will need to be replaced to resolve the P0463 issue effectively. After completing the necessary repairs, it is vital to verify that the work performed addressed the DTC P0463 issue adequately. Start the verification process with a test drive of the vehicle to ensure that the system is operating under real-world conditions. During this drive, take note of any unusual behavior from the fuel gauge, as this will help confirm that the recent repairs were successful. After driving, use the Honda Diagnostic System HDS to check for any lingering error codes. Ensure that DTC P0463 has been cleared and that no new error codes appear. Lastly, confirm that the fuel gauge is functioning correctly and providing accurate readings based on the fuel level in the tank. Successful verification indicates that the problem has been resolved. To prevent future occurrences of DTC P0463, proactive maintenance is crucial. Regularly inspecting wiring throughout the fuel system is essential to identify any wear, fraying, or potential damage. Ensure that all connectors and terminals are secure, as loose connections can lead to symptoms similar to those presented by DTC P0463, including erroneous fuel level readings. Additionally, monitoring the performance of the fuel gauge on a regular basis will help detect early signs of impending failure. By being diligent about these preventive measures, vehicle owners can significantly reduce the likelihood of encountering this particular diagnostic trouble code again. In conclusion, DTC P0463 pertains to a high-voltage condition within the fuel level sensor circuit of the Honda Pilot from 2016 to 2022. Recognizing the symptoms, which include inaccurate fuel gauge readings and warning lights, is the first step towards effective troubleshooting. Critical components involved in this issue include the fuel level sensor, gauge control module, and associated wiring. By following a systematic troubleshooting guide, one can accurately diagnose and remedy the underlying problems leading to this DTC. Timely repairs help maintain vehicle performance and ensure drivers are consistently informed of their fuel levels. Overall, a comprehensive understanding and proactive management of the DTC P0463 will enhance vehicle reliability and the driving experience. Please like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.